Good evening, or for my guests, good morning. So I may as well just say good afternoon. How are we all? My name's Adam Duval, aka the Mental Health Warrior, and tonight I have got a brilliant person for the very first time as a one-on-one, because obviously she came on just a couple of weeks ago for a panel when it was the Campfire Project and the Mental Health Warriors emerging together. Her name is Angela Heiss, and she's going to tell you all about her story, how she grew up, and you're going to love her. Just whatever you do, don't in the comments, guys, don't put pineapple. Don't talk about pineapple because she wants to talk about it. She really does. I don't. But all I've got to say is I'm going to do the countdown now, and I hope everyone's having an exceptional day. We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So let's do it. Let's bring her on. Welcome to Warrior TV, Angela.
Hello, Adam. Good to see you. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to start. Do you want me to call you Angela, or I know some people called Angela like to be called Angie, or I don't know.
Angela works. I mean, I'm in Australia, so people generally call me Ange, but anything goes.
What does Alan Stevens call you?
Angela.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, so if Alan's tuned in tonight, then yeah, we'll give him a message. Yeah.
Hi, Alan.
Hello. I know Scott Carson could be tuning in. I don't know. Who knows? We've already got a comment. McKenna Cruiser. Hello. He was on the other week. He's a brilliant. But I'm going to start with some quick fire questions for you, and I'm just going to try not to do the same ones. So I'm going to avoid pineapple at all costs. Sorry about that. I'm gonna say tea or coffee.
Coffee.
Okay.
Decaf.
Okay. Your favorite part of nature?
The ocean.
Ah, okay. So while we're on that, then, your favorite sea animal?
Dolphin.
I like sharks. Probably because I act like one. I don't know. Ask Karen. I'm gonna say, are you an indoor person or an outdoor person?
I would love to say an outdoor, but I really am an indoor person.
Okay.
I love the outdoors, but I love the indoors more.
Yeah. Fair enough. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all. Because I can't, I'm going to try and avoid it. I really am.
Pineapple on pizza.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Your answer is going to be depends.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, for the viewers, let us know, but tell us a little bit about who Angela is.
Okay, well, where do you want me to start?
At the very beginning. Who are you?
Very beginning.
Who are you and what you do and where do you come from?
Okay, well, I'll give you the nutshell, really. Yeah. I grew up in Germany, and I grew up about 5 kilometers from the Neanderthal, where they found the proverbial caveman. So you know how you can say, you can really insult somebody saying you're such a caveman. Well, the Neanderthal is the proverbial caveman. So from a very young age, I was very aware of evolution. And at the age of about 9, I came to the conclusion that we hadn't really evolved yet. We were still doing the same stuff over and over again. I would look at my family and I would say, you're doing stuff that really makes you unhappy. Why are you doing this? And nobody could give me an answer. And I come from in a family, I mean, look, I love my family dearly. They do the very best they can, but I also know that when I grew up, we were really dysfunctional.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, this was the 70s, so there was a lot of medicating. I mean, doctors were handing out pills like lollies, like the women in my family were addicted to Valium. The guys in my family were addicted to alcohol. So there was a lot of medicating of really unhappy emotions and trauma. And this was after World War II, like having been bombed out several times, having running from bombs. So there was a lot of stuff that people hadn't digested properly, but nobody talked about it. And there was, at the same time, there was a commitment to really having unhappy marriages, which I found out when I studied counseling, and I had to go back 4 generations. And I looked at that and went, that makes perfect sense now. So by the time I was 15, I had finished reading the self-development section of the city library, because I went, this makes no sense to me. I was a really avid reader. I read at least a book a day. It was my escape. I could just disappear. My oldest friend, who has known me since I was 6, says the first thing she remembers about me is being at a birthday party, sitting in the corner, little blue velvet dress, and reading, and being completely oblivious to everything that was going on around me. So as I grew up, I decided that I wanted to, if I were to have children, I wanted to raise them in a different way. I didn't want them to be raised with all these dysfunctional patterns, with all this toxicity, not talking about things. By that time, my aunt had committed suicide. Another family member had tried to commit suicide several times. There were all sorts of things happening. And I just went, this makes no sense. So I started educating myself, and I started taking seminars and learning more and more and reading more and more. And I worked on myself for about 15, including teenage years, probably over 20 years before I started working with people. But before that, I moved around the world. I explored the world. I lived in China, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, in Austria, in all sorts of places. And then in my early 30s, I came to Australia. And that's when my life really began. I mean, everything else that I had done before was wonderful. I was a TV producer. I ran a business in Hong Kong. I did all sorts of wonderful things that really enriched me. But the traveling on the outside, yes, I was traveling on the inside as well. But when I came to Australia, I really started traveling on the inside and discovering who I was.
We'll talk about your travels. We will. I actually want to talk about them. But first, I'm going to talk about that little girl in the blue dress, which you've not stretched it, have you? You've not stretched that blue dress, have you? I don't know. So what type of girl was Angela, like, growing up in school, like education, with all this, what's going around her?
I was the youngest in my grade. I had started school earlier because the kindergarten teacher said to my parents, you need to send her to school. She's bored. I could read and write at the age of 4. So I was one of those overachievers who peaked early. So my parents sent me to school after they had done, I had to go through tests, psychological tests, and they told them that I was ready, which in hindsight, I think was probably not such a good idea, because I was always 1 or even 2 years younger than the people in my grade. So nobody took me seriously. And so I was bullied. The word didn't exist at the time, but people really made fun of me. And I was really an outgoing girl until I started high school. And then every time I raised my hand, somebody would go, oh, come on, shut up. And I just stopped. And at the same time, I also made the decision that I didn't need to fit in. And so I was one of those people who never belonged to a crowd. I tried the clique thing for a while, and it just didn't work for me. No. Because I was one of those kids who, I would wear my father's tie and vest and jacket one day with jeans, and then the next day I would wear a Laura Ashley, kind of flowery dress. And I just couldn't be pinpointed. People really wanted to put me into a category, and I just couldn't fit. And I didn't want to. Because I knew it didn't matter what I did. They had a judgment about me, and I didn't care.
Yeah. So back then, what was, obviously you didn't know what bullying was. Like, what are the type of things you were getting thrown at you?
Oh, I was first of all, I had really bad acne when I was a child, like
Okay.
really bad acne. And my mother thought it was a great idea to part my hair down the middle. So I used to joke I looked like an ass with ears. And of course, that really didn't support my self-esteem. I also had gone cross-eyed at the age of 3 due to trauma. I had overheard a conversation and I had taken that very personally and went cross-eyed. Consequently, I had 3 surgeries on my eyes, and so twice on my right and once on my left eye, and my right eye never quite adjusted. So I've always had a lazy eye. And you know what children are like.
Yeah.
They just go for anything that they perceive as a weakness. So they would constantly push me on A, being the youngest, B, having acne, and then the lazy eye. And so I was in a no-win situation. And I had a couple of friends at school, but not really. My friends were mostly outside of school and they were older.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, experienced that. Because I know it's like being bullied. It's not good.
Yeah.
No.
But you know what? It made me realize that there are friends, and there are friends or people who pretend to be friends, and there are people who really never could be friends. And that's okay.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. See it all as an opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the life I've had. Would I want to live the first 22 years of my life again? No.
No.
But am I grateful? Oh, God, yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So, yeah, obviously you passed. You're a high achiever. You weren't on the spectrum of autism, was you?
I don't know. I did a test the other day just out of curiosity, and I came back and said you're normal. And there was a part of me that went, so how do you explain that I need to do this and then I need to do that and then I go here and I've done this for 5 minutes and now I need to do that. I mean, I can concentrate for extended periods of time, but I like to do, flit between things. I've got a real monkey mind. Oh, look at that bright, sparkly thing. And I thought, maybe there's something in there. No, there isn't. No autism.
Not when they get second opinion?
Well, are you offering? Are you diagnosing?
I'm not a professional.
Okay. Well, you know what? I just accept myself the way I am right now. And do I need a label? I don't know. Do I? Do I need a label?
What is your views on label anyway? Wow, you brought it up.
I don't like labels very much because I think they really stop us from seeing the whole person. I know that they're necessary because they help us eliminate all sorts of, information that we really don't need. It's the brain function, focus on what's essential. But I prefer to actually say, this is the person in front of me. Let's discover who they really are. And labels are only useful in the sense that they say, okay, the person has, a certain height. They have a certain skin color. They've got an eye color, but I don't know what they've got in their head. I don't know what they believe. And so I'd rather, I mean, when I look at my friends, I've got the full spectrum. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day and we were talking about vaccinations, and that my friends range from, like really like committed anti-vaxxers to people who put their hand up and went, me first, give me the vaccine, and everything in between. I've got people who are Jehovah's Witnesses, friends who are Jehovah's Witnesses, to people who are atheists. I mean, like, it's just, like, I like variety. I like people. I don't like the labels that go with them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of my wife, she's actually tuned in and she says hi. But she's not on her profile. She's actually on my Facebook. She spends more time on it than I do. Expect.
Oh, well. When you got married, did you decide to share everything?
Sharon doesn't exist in this house. She just steals my stuff. Yeah, she always has. Yeah. My spray, my aftershave, my clothes. Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing I've learned is these are the kind of conversations I go, beautiful weather today, isn't it? And so much of it, have you noticed?
I know there was a lot of rain coming down.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So at what age would you say you finally realised, yeah, I've got these challenges and I need to deal with them?
I think I realized when I was about 19 and my family was going through a really difficult time and I was borderline bulimic. And I realized I needed to do something about that. And I had a doctor who was really enlightened for the time. You know, I would go in with physical ailments and he would go straight to what was underlying. You know, he'd say, you know, the family issues and what are you doing about it? And then I kept reading. I didn't do anything other than that, but I felt that reading at least would help. Okay. And then I went to university in the US. I had a scholarship and it was high pressure. It was super high pressure. And I started getting migraines and they immediately prescribed Valium. And my mother had been on Valium 9, which was, you know, I have no idea how she was upright. And they gave me Valium 3 and I took half of that and my feet didn't touch the ground for 2 days. I was completely out of it. So I decided that instead of doing that, I was going to do meditation. And when I was doing meditation and these people were doing more than meditation, there was just excavation work. And I was 22 at the time. That's when I really started digging deep because it just came up with all of these things that I had acknowledged, but I hadn't processed.
Brilliant. Yeah. So what type of meditation would you actually, what was you doing? Because I started aromatherapy and you know what? I love it. I do. I'm always trying something different. Now, obviously, even Kerry doesn't know this, but during the night, I actually woke up and it was raining. And I actually went outside and it was pitch black. It was raining. And I just sat on the grass and just meditated.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And that was at like 4 o'clock this morning.
Brilliant. You've had a very long day. And you started it being really grounded, literally.
Have I?
Well, sitting on grass. I mean, walking on grass for 10 minutes really connects you with the earth and it gets all the negative ions going. So it's a really good way of meditating.
It does, yeah.
Well, anyway, she knows now.
She does, yeah. She's going to think him, why was you outside, you weirdo? But no, it's not weird. It's not.
No.
It's a type of meditation. And you know what? I actually believe the best time to actually meditate is when the house is just silent. Yeah. I did make you a brew in bed this morning. Yeah, I did. But anyway. This ain't about you, Kerry, or me. Come on, it's about Angela. Come on. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Now, obviously, I don't see that many comments. I don't know if any's coming on LinkedIn. I don't know. But anyway. So what type of books would you actually recommend reading for if you've got these kind of migraines?
Oh, there are lots of books out there that explore, you know, that illness as a path towards healing. And what I did is I really looked at the stress and that it was causing me, and then looked at the cause for the stress and what it was. I would read any kind of books that help you look at beliefs that you have about yourself. Now, if you ask me for specific books, oh my God, I can't. No, good. I can't. I've got a lot of books and I've read even more.
I know,
But
I see
I
that
would,
library behind you.
yeah, and it's not a green screen. There's a, yeah. I read. I still read. I have not stopped reading since I was 4.
Do you know, I actually was wondering that when you was doing your lives or whether you was on there or others. I'm like, is that a green screen behind her? Or is it just books?
It's books.
But now we know. Now we know.
Yeah. So yes, I would recommend reading books about. I mean, I managed the I managed the migraine in my 20s by stopping being a perfectionist.
So obviously, Kerry, I will get to your question, but obviously I wanted to cover that a little bit later on. So I want to talk about your travels because you brought up Germany, then you went to America, and then Australia. So, if you had to choose of the 3, which one is best?
Do you mean Germany?
Which one would you highly recommend? Because obviously we're looking to move. We are out of England, so.
Well,
yeah.
we've talked about this before, and I did recommend Australia, but I also said that you might have to adjust a little bit. They are, weather-wise, that depends on where you're moving, obviously. If you're moving to Tasmania, probably not so much. But let me put it this way. I have lived in 9 different countries. And if I could have the choice, and this is again, like, depends. This is the pineapple question again.
Oh, no.
I like choice. If I could, I would love to live in different countries at different times of year. I would live in Queensland between, April and September. And then the rest of the year I would spend spend traveling around. I don't mind rain. I don't mind snow, but I would love to have, spend my time going around the different continents. California, Spain, Germany, Ireland, Denmark, Hong Kong. So those would be my places because that's where I've got friends and family.
I am so glad you didn't mention England. We are a mess at the minute.
Well, my first alone overseas experience was England. I went to England on an exchange program when I was 10. I went to Coventry, and I didn't know what it meant to be sent to Coventry at the time, let me tell you. I loved it.
Did you learn anything while you were in Coventry?
Yeah, lots. I mean, I learned, for example, that the peas that were put on my plate every night that were big and round and tasted like they had been doused with perfume were actually minted peas. See? So, and I knew that, and I also learned that my maximum intake was 8 out of courtesy. They would say, "How would you like some peas?" And I would say, "Yes, 8, please." Because that was what I could mash into potatoes or something. I learned a lot. I learned a lot when I was in Coventry. I loved it. They had to drag me back to Germany by the hair.
Literally?
Well, proverbially, metaphorically.
Okay, so let's talk about when the time you arrived in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I can't believe I speak to Australians daily. Why have I not developed this Aussie accent yet? I don't know.
Well, you said good day the other day perfectly.
Good day.
Good day. Yeah.
Good day.
See, I can't even do that yet.
And how long have you been in Australia?
Well, see, I've been here for 25 years now, and I still don't have an Australian accent.
I've never been.
It's time. When you can, you will. And there will be lots of people to visit.
Yeah, I know. But you shut your borders so nobody can leave or get in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
so, well, you've got stricter government than us anyway, but that's a different conversation.
Absolutely.
Yes. So yeah, let's talk about when you arrived in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Were you lost on first day? Were you thinking, where am I?
No, I came to visit friends. And so they took me around. And the very first visit I had was after I left Hong Kong, and I was going to move back to Germany. And my friend said, well, it's an 8-hour flight now. Once you're back in Europe, it's going to be a much, much longer flight. Why don't you come now while it's still, like a commute, basically? So I did. And I arrived in Sydney. I spent a couple of days in Adelaide first. And then I came to Sydney, and my friend took me down to Balmoral Beach. And I remember standing on the beach, looking over the water and saying to myself, and this is where I'm going to grow old. And it was almost like there was a vibration in the air where I can't explain it, but it was like the universe was saying, okay. I can still remember that moment right now. And then I had my 2 or 3 week holiday, left, and came back 2 years later and got a visa in the shortest period of time. It was just a holiday, and somebody offered me a job, and I haven't left since. I went back to pack up my things and came back. So longest holiday ever.
I know you're still on it, aren't you?
Yeah, I love living in Australia. At the moment, not so much, but then again, the world is not an easy place wherever you are.
Exactly. Yeah. So, how are you coping, like psychologically? How are you coping through these difficult times?
Well, last year, when we went into lockdown, I was like, oh, this is great. I've got an opportunity. I went on these health food programs, and fitness and exercised and ate really healthy because we could still go to the farmers markets. And then that worked for a while. And then I think it was last year, at the end of July, when we were told that we were going to go back into lockdown again. So we had come out of it. And on the same day, I found out that one of my closest friends, so very dear friend, had been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and my ex-boyfriend had committed suicide. And I had talked, he's somebody from a very long time ago when we were both still in Hong Kong, but I had just talked to him a few months before that. And we had, and he was very much on the edge. And, and we had some 6-hour conversations where I literally felt that I had talked him off the ledge. But he committed suicide, and it really hit me hard. And I decided at that point, I realized how fragile I was because I had been, putting out programs to help people, support them. How do you manage change? How do you manage remote working? All of that stuff. But I had been all by myself for months. Like there was nobody around, to give me a hug, or, all my communication was on Zoom, and I literally pulled the plug. And I thought I was gonna, and I had in the year before, I had a total at that point, 12 people around me died. And they were not just, the acquaintance of, friend of so-and-so. Those were important people in my life. People I had grown up with, so my father's and my mother's generation, but also from my own generation. So I pulled the plug, and I just basically just took care of myself for 6 weeks. And I just didn't do very much. And during that time, I read a lot. I meditated a lot. Again, ate very healthy. Just really, it was extreme self-care. And since then, and I talked to people about what was going on, obviously, and not just sitting there going, I'm fine, it's all good. I shared what was happening for me, and that has really made a big difference. And this year, I know that I get tired faster than I used to be because I can feel the pressure. But when that's the case, I just rest. I don't push through and go, onward and upward. I just rest. And so I feel that I'm probably stronger than I've ever been before. And at the same time, if that makes sense, more aware of my fragility.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Because some people would have had those thoughts of, well, if they've gone, maybe I'm doing something wrong, so I want to do it. I don't know. Did you have any thoughts?
Of going?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Did
What
you
am I
attempt
doing?
it?
No,
Did you attempt it? No.
no, simply because I have seen the fallout of what happens when somebody commits suicide and what it does to the people around them.
Yeah.
And I understand. I would never stop somebody, but I would say there are always other possibilities.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh yeah, there are always. You're making me tear up here, Angela. It's normally the other way around. Wow. Yeah, I need to get to Kerry's question. Talk about how you got involved with the Campfire Project.
I talked to Alan.
How did you meet Alan?
Alan Stevens.
Yeah,
He had started the camp.
How did you meet Alan?
I met him in a networking event in Sydney, probably about 3 years ago. And he was part of a group. We did an exercise where we had to do the reverse, like instead of shouting at people, oh, you're not good enough, you're really bad, we actually stood in a circle of people who shouted at us, you're brilliant, you're great at what you're doing. And it was a really interesting experience. And Alan was one of the people who shouted the loudest encouragement. He was wonderful. And then we met in other events, and I don't know. And then he started the Campfire Project, and I became, I went in. And then when it was about, and then I raised my hand and said, I would like to be one of the women who's involved, because I think it's an important topic. I am really passionate about what I call emotional productivity. As I said, I grew up in an environment that was emotionally very volatile. I grew up with people, men specifically, who would absolutely lose the plot. Yelling, screaming, shouting, throwing things, occasionally hitting, but never really full on, but more the very big slap in the face. Or my father used to joke, and look, I love my father dearly. He's passed away, but I know why he did what he did. And there's no judgment in that sense of, he was a bad father. He was the best father that he could be. But his idea of punishing me was, he would say, I pull your earlobe to Africa. And that was painful. And that was enough. And now I've lost that pulling. That really just took me back straight to where my father used to do it. Okay. So what was I going to say?
Of how you became part of the Campfire Project.
That's right. Yes. So anyway, I grew up with all of these men who never had any emotions but acted them out. So if you ask my father, he was always fine. There was never any, I didn't learn words for emotions until I was 28. And I had a rebirthing session, and I came across this emotion, which I had no name for. And it took the therapist and me half an hour to figure out that I was angry. I didn't know what that was, because I had always been told to keep myself invisible and quiet and all of that. But at the same time, there were these men around me and women who were acting out their emotions in really unhealthy ways. So I designed a program. At some point, I came to the realization that we have all of these life skills that we are expected to learn, but nobody really teaches them to us. We don't go to school and learn about how do we fulfill our needs? How do we set boundaries? How do we manage our emotions? How do we actually listen without fixing things, just being there from a place of empathy, really supporting people in the best way possible? How do we celebrate without going straight into, yeah, that was good, but you did that better last time. So I just designed this program, and I've been working with people now for 25 years as a coach in helping them manage emotions, and also appreciate that anger has a really important role.
It does.
But that we rarely know how to do it properly. Aristotle used to say everybody can get angry, but hardly anybody knows how to get angry at the right time and the right place with the right people. And so I when Alan said the campfire, was helping to bring men into adulthood, I said, well, I want to contribute to that. I want to support that because this is really important to me.
Yeah.
And that's how I got involved.
Brilliant. So when you got invited, because obviously you have to be invited onto a show, one-on-one, were you nervous when you got invited?
That's a loaded question. You know that's the best way to trigger somebody into nervousness.
No,
are you nervous?
No, like, were you? Did you have like some sort of anxiety?
No, because the one thing that Alan always makes sure is that it's safe. And this was, I think I did my interview probably about, I don't know, close to 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And I know that there were a lot of things I didn't actually talk about. Like I have shared much more with you about my family than I shared at that time in the Campfire Project, because I didn't, and I have actually said to Alan, we need to do my interview again so I can share more. But it's, yeah, it was, no, I wasn't nervous. I mean, look, the one thing I learned is I only share as much as I want to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're smashing it, by the way. You really are. Yeah. Normally, I actually say that after the show, but no, you are. You do it really well.
Thank you, Adam.
You should be proud of that.
Okay.
So, guys, if you've got any more questions for Angela, you can ignore me. I'm not that important, not today anyway. But if you've got any more questions for Angela, feel free to ask from anything. So, yeah. But I've got to ask, though, obviously, Scott and Alan, they are brilliant hosts of the Campfire. Brilliant. Yeah. I commend them both for what they do. But if you had to choose one host to interview you, who would it be and why?
Oh my God. Depends.
Oh.
No, you hate that when I say that. Okay. Seriously, if I had the choice, I would probably want them to both interview me at the same time, because the questions they ask are very different. Scott gets really excited and goes into, okay, right? Whereas Alan goes into, okay.
Seriousness.
So with Alan will go into profiler mode probably to find out more about me, to get a picture together. Where Scott is very likely to go into what else, and he would expand the picture. So between the two of them, that would be probably a really interesting interview.
It would. See, I've never been interviewed by Scott before. Never.
No, I haven't either.
I've never been interviewed by you either. Every time I've been on the Campfire Project, that's 3 times now I've been on, it's all been Alan. Every time.
Well, you fishing for an invitation?
I am, actually. I am.
Yeah, okay. Let me organize one and we'll talk. I'll put you on the panel and I'll pick the topic, and then no, we'll pick one that we both like.
Yeah,
obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you've got a book.
Well, not really. I've been wanting to write I last year I did #52 needs, and I wrote an article every week about it, a short article, and I'm turning that into a book. It's like a short workbook. And but I'm writing a book this year that actually was commissioned by a friend of mine who has a publishing house, and it's called Light and Shadow in Australia. So it's all about what, my observations as somebody who's lived in Australia, not having grown up in Australia. So what are the light sides and what are the shadow sides? And that's been fun. So, like really, like, for example, why do you bring a plate? The expression, let's bring a plate.
Yeah.
And I showed, when I showed that chapter to my friends, my Australian friends, and said, so am I portraying this accurately? They went, I had no idea it was that complicated. And I was like, yeah, there are layers and layers and layers to the rules of bringing a plate. And they were like, wow. I know you've got, and you do that in England too, but it's not really that complicated. It's not something where you have to ask questions and what context and how, and, all these unspoken rules. It's a party. It's a big party. You bring a plate. I remember that very distinctly in Coventry when we had our first school party. And that was when everybody brought a plate. And that was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life too. Because when they opened the buffet, everybody queued, including me, and all the Germans just ran because it was a school exchange program, right? And all the other German exchange just, like blitzed the buffet. And by the time everybody who was queuing had their turn, there was not much left.
See, Kerry's idea of a good time is, like, say we go to a club or a pub or something like that. She will get me a couple of pints, get me a big plate with likes of sausage rolls, egg mayonnaise sandwiches, pork pies probably, I don't know, and some peanuts, some like, Adam, corner, start, so there you go. And when you run out, we'll get some more. That's what she'll do. She'll shove me in the corner.
Wow.
I know. Blunt, isn't it?
Is that what you do, Kerry?
Well, she's actually on, and she actually said, back to the interview invitation, she liked to be part of it, but I'm going to spice that up if you're interested. How about, instead of actually interviewing me and Kerry, how about we alternate, where obviously I've invited the Campfire Project admins, how about you invite the Mental Health Warriors?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah,
I'm sure we could. Yeah, we'll work something out.
We will. Absolutely. Yeah, get to know us.
Yeah. Well, Scott interviewed Kerry the other day, didn't he?
He did, and that was an amazing interview. I enjoyed that.
I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list.
Oh, yeah. She opened up, and I'm proud of her for it. I'm proud of her. Yeah. And then she was interviewed yesterday. What were we on, Wednesday? Yeah, yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, she was interviewed Tuesday, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't keep an eye on days these days. I'm getting old. But,
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of them. But all I've got to say is, if he misbehaves, I'd put him in a corner. There you go.
Okay.
So what's next for Angela? Like, where do you see yourself in, like, forget COVID restrictions and stuff like that. Where does Angela see Angela in 12 months' time?
In where? In 12 months' time?
Yeah, where do you see yourself?
I quite honestly, at this point, I'm not making long-term plans because we go in and out of lockdown, as in 9 o'clock in the morning, it's 4 o'clock, we're going into lockdown, and we're going for 4 days and then for 10 days. And it's just so unpredictable. This whole thing of carpe diem, seize the day, has really taken on whole new meaning for me. Ideally, in a year's time, I would love to be in Europe. That was the plan last year. I was going to go to Europe for 6 months, and I would have gone to England, very likely, and visit friends and family, because I generally, when I go back, it's 3 days there, 4 days there, and I really wanted to stay with people for a couple of weeks. Or my friend in Spain who said 3 months, I'm putting my hand up for 3 months, and we had everything organized already last year. I was just, I was ready to go, and then we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And so there's a part of me that went, and initially was like, I wish I could have gone before that happened. And now I'm really glad. I mean, Queensland is a good place for being here at this time of history. So in 12 months, the idea is that I will have finished 2 books, and I will have turned my emotional productivity program into a standalone, like a program that people can do at their own pace with all the life skills that I talked about. I'm just running this for the first time online, and it's been a ride.
Absolutely.
It's been an
And
absolute ride.
Auntie Shazza's here. She put via the Mental Health Warrior page. She's on the road to school and she's listening in. So
Hi,
she's
Shaz.
driving and using technology at the same time.
Yeah. Yes.
What are the rules in Australia about that?
Well, you can listen to the radio. You can listen to. Well, again, rules are only good when somebody applies them sensibly, and I'm sure that Shazza is doing that.
Of course she is. She's Heiss. She is. We'll love her.
Yeah.
So my final question. So Shazza's come at the wrong time, to be honest. But hey, we're all busy. We're all busy. So obviously we came together again on the 3-year anniversary of the Campfire Project, which was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I couldn't stay there long because obviously I had a podcast to get to. But yeah, we need to do it again.
Yes.
Like when he gets to 2,000 members.
Which should be next week, really.
It should, shouldn't it? So my question to you is, if a theme pops up, what theme would you choose for that celebration to be? And I hope Alan's listening on this.
Connection.
Connection?
Mm-hmm. Honest connection.
I was thinking, I don't know, probably like fancy dress or something like that.
Oh, you mean a theme as in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. I don't know. We could. I mean, we could all support Scott's project, and
Smiles, yeah.
Smiles for Smiles, and do something with that. Put something on. I could put my smiley T-shirt on. Somebody could paint a smiley face on their face. I don't know. But I mean, we could all wear. We could all see if we could put a green screen with a campfire behind us.
We could.
That might work. I have no idea.
I think Alan, for this next celebration, and I hope he listens to this and watches this, he needs to dress himself up as Papa Smurf. Paint himself blue. I could just imagine it now.
That would be fun, yes.
It would.
What would you be? Would you go as a Smurf?
Will our suit looking like a Smurf, though?
Sorry, say again?
Will our suit looking like a Smurf, though?
You can paint yourself blue. Which might make you look like a Scottish Highland warrior, but
is that what I look like now? Is that what
I don't know.
Oh, great. I heard my partner laugh from upstairs because she's literally just above me and she's laughed and she put Ginger Smurf.
Yeah, why not?
Do you know what? I'm actually going on protest here because it seems every time I come live on camera, I get bullied somehow.
Well, then we'll just have to make sure that next time you're both in the same frame.
I think that's a challenge, Kerry. But yeah, Shazza has pulled over. Just pulled over. Angela's emotional work is amazing. Check it out. Yeah, we are going to check it out. So, all I've got to say is thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah. Even though we disagree on pineapple.
Oh, I thought you would not mention that.
I had to. It's all good. Look, isn't it wonderful that we all love different things? I think the world would be such a boring place if we all like the same things. And as long as I don't force you to eat pineapple and you don't force me to stay away from pineapple, I think it's all good.
It was. It was. So, guys, please share the hell out of this. We're going to end this now. All I've got to say is please tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m. And I'm scared about this. 3 women are coming together to talk about domestic violence. Kerry Bear, the human GPS, obviously she came on the Campfire Project interview.
Mm-hmm.
Karen Unruh, the humour warrior, so she'll bring humour to it. And the return of Kerry Duval. She's, her first podcast back. So, yeah, I'm scared about that one because I don't know what the hell they're going to talk about. I don't know.
It's an important topic.
It is important. It is. And obviously they're going to try and bring a little bit of humour to that because obviously it's not just females that are victims of domestic violence. It's males as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, on that note, I'm going to end this now. Please share this. McHenry, I know you will. Thanks for tuning in. Kerry, you better. I don't know. Otherwise, you won't get a brew. Who knows? Or just pour your pineapple away. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. And Shazza, thanks. Tune in. And we'll see you all again. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank